Let us pray. Loving God, we thank you again for today. We can come to study how to serve you, how to serve your church, and how to be a better servant of yours. Help us that we could spend time together to learn. So we have the wisdom to understand, to apply to our ministry, our life. I lift up everyone before you in Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Okay. So today in supervision, we talk about to be called. The first topic, main topic of this hour is to be called. What is mean in Christian perspective that God called you? I always say that you need to be sure. You know that all the old textbook will talk about just one kind of calling. Like God called Isaiah, God called Jeremiah, God called Ezekiel. That to be prophet, to be servant of God. But in modern day, a lot of new theory talking about God call everyone. Jesus call everyone, but it's different kind of calling. So when you say that every Christian is called by God, yes, we might use the word general calling and specific calling. So what is the general calling mean? It means that every Christian are called by God for salvation. Without that calling, we cannot be saved. Or you might use the word calling in the sense of selection or election and calling. They're interchangeable in the sense calling, selecting, or any specific decision that God make on each one. Go on to a thing that we call special call or specific call. Like call someone to be a pastor, to be a minister, to do certain things, that we mean special call, specific call. That two general term. But if you keep go on, different textbook will use different words, try to explain all kind of different call from God. I will present to you some of the different theory about calling. But in fact, you can just sum up into different kinds, general and specific. To be just a Christian to serve God, and to be a specific full-time minister or pastor. That's two kinds of calling in the whole sense. But the theory will go on in different way. You can see from this text, this lecture too, that I get it from different sources and present to you how people look at calling from God. But the whole thing is about God have a certain plan for each one of us. So it's not by accident that you become a believer, or what you do for God is not accident. God knows everything, and everything is under his plan. But now about us. Each one of us is part of God's plan. Like when Jesus always say that we are part of the body, he is the head, and we are different part of that body of the church. So we function differently. So now you can see the picture that you cannot say that just a few called by God. When you see that everyone is part of the body, it means that everyone are called by God to be a certain part, to have a certain function. Now in this theory, they call this high calling. So it means just like Noah have been called, Abraham, Jonah, Isaiah, all the prophets. This theory use the word high calling, mean that someone have been called not just for himself, but for the whole nation, whole country, whole human race. So this is use the word high calling. So when God have a big plan for you, to use you for something big, This theory use the word high calling. Mean that's very important, specific one. Now they use another word they call personal calling. It means that God called Levi, God called Simon, this God called Saul. And this is, people ask, what the difference between personal calling and high calling? High calling, you are called to do some big job for your country, for your human race, or your whole clan. But personal calling is about you. God want to use you, and mainly about you, your life that God want to use. So they use that. Some situation they call personal calling. And general calling, this come to the picture that every Christian have this one. When you save, because God call you, God select you. So this we call general calling. And every Christian have some job to do to serve God. Whatever you can do, you do it. So you don't know that what is specific calling. It's just general calling until you find out that you also have a specific calling or high calling. But we all start with general calling. So it means that every believer already have this general calling, mean that God called you to salvation. God called you out of the whole world to be his people. So this is we call general calling. Now, in this section, they talk about when God called you. Now, what you do? They divide into different kinds, clergy or pastor, full-time minister. Lay minister mean that you still have another job and you're serving God in the same time. And supporter mean that or the deacon or the committee or everything that do the job of the church. So in this theory, they divide your call in three groups of people. Now everyone serving God, but in different level of commitment. Clergy mean lifetime, full time. This is you living on what God calling to do, full time, lifetime. Lay pastor mean that you might call part time or sometime because you have another job, another kind of living going on in the same time. But this is modern day theory though. In the old day, Paul do both in the same time. But today we see that it's pretty divided. And supporter is always there. The team that help with other job, the deacon, the committee, everyone else who do something else, mostly they are part-time staff or mostly in most churches are volunteer. You don't get paid. You're not staff. You just volunteer when they have need. So three group of people who serving under the call. So this is another way to call to see that, oh, calling from God still different, not the same thing. Now, this theory sum up 5 ways you know that God called you to ministry, mean that to full-time, to be pastor or minister full-time, lifetime. Now, only some are called to ministry. What that mean? They try to say everyone is called to ministry, but only some are called to the ministry. What that mean? It in general mean that everyone called to serve God, but a few are called to a certain ministry, certain job. So that just mean that way. We all called to serve God, but each one is called for a certain ministry, not everyone. Division now. So in the sense that we are Christians serving God, whatever we can, in general calling. But now you try to find out that you have a specific calling that God have for you or not to serve God. Why you need to find out? Because this is the seal, this is the sign that God going to use you for something. Now people say that if I don't have this call, can I serve God? Yes. But what the difference? The difference is when God calls someone for certain thing, he prepared that person for that job. But when you volunteer, you might not fully equip or fully call for that job, but you still can do it the best you can. But the different thing. Now this theory try to tell you what the difference. Now they use the example of Paul on the Damascus road that Paul going to kill believer. God called him. So it means very specific. It not happened by accident, but God specifically called Paul on that occasion. Not many people have that life-changing experience of calling, but Paul have one. And then some of you will have they call progressive call. What that mean? Most of you will come to this category. You start with a little bit helping, and now you start seeing more and more, and God used you more and more, and you go deeper and deeper, like you walk into the river. The water just at your ankle. Now you walk deeper because you're brave enough to go on your waist, now your chest, and now you go all over your head. So this is kind of progressive. You go deeper and serving more, and you see that God still using you, and God still want you. So this is happen to most people. Not many people have Paul experience of big life experience overnight, but most of us have this kind. You start small, you start a little, and you see more and more that God want to use you. And you see that you have the joy, you have the passion to keep doing that. So this is most of us in this group we call progressive call. The call from birth, this is some special occasion. You see like Samson, Samuel, Jeremiah, God said that I call you before your birth, or even Moses. It's not progressive. This is even before their birth. The angel come to announce to their parent that God called Samson, even before their birth, that God going to use him for a purpose. So this is clear. Someone have that kind of calling, even before their birth. You might not see a lot in modern day, but in the old day, you see that. In many situations in the Bible, you see that. So now people say, why don't we see that thing in modern day? Well, it might happen, but not a lot. Not a lot. Why in the past? Well, in the past, because the parent need to get involved. The parent need to prepare that person since a baby time. Like for Samson and for Samuel situation, they're going to be Nazarite from birth. Mean that start with mom. Mom cannot drink alcohol. Mom cannot eat any grape produce. And mom cannot do a certain thing. That before birth. So parents need to know in advance what they're supposed to do. And when the baby birth, they need to raise up the baby according to the law of the Nazarite. Mean that never cut the baby hair and never let any grape, they eat any part of grape at all. And never let them get close to that person. So that means three main things a Nazarite from birth have to do. Parents need to help. And the boy or that child need to know that from birth, that they cannot do certain things their whole life. So this is why some people have that call. Now, modern day, we have another call. We say that the church calls someone. So this is come from the consensus of most people at church or members see that, oh, you have a gift. And we should assign you, especially for a person that God going to use. So this is from the church. The church see the sign, the church get involved, and the church sponsor, support a certain people. I have seen this in modern day. Some young boy who born in church and the whole life stay with church have been prepared to be the future pastor of the church. So they have seen the sign, they have prepared that child, and end up that child become the pastor. It not always happen that way. It will happen that way. That have to be a big church or a church that really settled down, have a long history, and a lot of support to do that. So a lot of big churches in the South, they have that kind of situation. Like some churches that the grandfather become the first pastor, and then the son become the second pastor, and then the grandson continue. 3 generations of the family are called into that church. And that church is several hundred years old, tens of thousands of members. So they can keep the long tradition that way. And some of their people, they have been assigned from young to send to seminary, to get training, to come back to their church to serve. So this is something that not always happen in modern day. Church have a long, short life and not so big. So you won't see this situation a lot. The open door call, what that mean? Well, this just mean that anyone can be called to do certain things. And how do you know that? Most of the time, those persons volunteer and say, okay, I want to do this. God going to use me, or God called that. That person know. So we use the word open door call, mean that anyone can support, anyone can volunteer, and anyone can do a certain thing when we need them. Now we go deeper. Okay, I will stop a little bit. You have questions so far, what we talking about on the general call, specific call from birth, call by church, and we will come back to talk about the mark or the sign that God called you to full-time ministry, mean that a full-time pastor, lifetime pastor. We're going to look at some symbol or some sign that we have seen to tell you about specific calling for that. Okay, so far you have question or you want to make comment on what we have learned so far? Now, if this teaching or theory apply to you, which one that you think you have? We all have different experience about calling.
I have a question.
Yes, Nathan.
So let's look into your life, Ajahn. So it seems that you were born, you were raised, you were trained by God to be a teacher since you were a little young boy, isn't it? Sounds like.
I come from a long line of preacher family. My family are Christian for more than 200 years, 7 generations. And we have preacher in every generation. I know from young age that I could to serve God in some way. But I told God, no, not pastor, not full-time ministry. Anything else is okay. And God seemed to be okay on that for a long time. Until I came to America, everything changed. When I first came to America, I intend to finish my doctorate degree and go back to be professor in Thailand. But God changed everything. If I know that in advance, I might not come. So God won't let me know until I got here. So God have his way. And people see the sign from my young age, but I always say no. I want serving God full time. Why? Because I see all my family who serving God, they suffer so much. They sacrifice so much. But you see, I look from outside until I became a pastor myself. I see that this is a calling. When God called me to start the church, to start the school, I have nothing and I know no one. It's just because God wants me to do it. And that's all. When I look back my whole life, I say that yes, God prepared me. I grew up, I am the only one amongst my brother, sister who love going to church and love learning Bible. I go to church 3-4 days a week, separate, different churches. With my grandma, with my aunt, uncle, auntie, they go to different churches because we have so many preachers in our family and we're serving in many churches.
Ajahn, I have a question.
Yes, Evan.
Open door calling. What do we have to look for? Do we have to look for, your qualification? Their background, or then just, as anyone that is, as what we think is good for.
Well, open door calling, it just means that the church open the opportunity to all members to serve. So each one can do a certain thing with certain gift. And the church leadership still need to check that person qualified or called by God or not. It's like when you're going to ordain someone or appoint someone, you need to examine, test that person. What kind of test you need to have? It's different from job to job. For example, when you're going to interview someone for a position of pastor, what you looking for? First, you're looking for their education or training. They qualify to teach, to preach with the gift, with the calling or not. Mostly, they need to have certain education to know the Bible at certain level, education. Secondly, you look at the experience. They have experience serving God, doing preaching, teaching for how long, how successful they are. That experience test need to pass. The third test is their personal life and calling. They have a sign or not. They know that or not. And people see that sign or not. Calling and people see it or not. They have experience, they have the calling that show up through other people or not. That we say the third test. The fourth test is about family. The family support your calling. If you marry, your spouse agree with you because they need to support you. Without their support, you cannot go on yourself. So that's the fourth test that you need to pass. Even you volunteer.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you, Ajahn.
You're welcome. Yes, Kat.
Okay, Ajahn, I have one example. For people who don't want to serve God in the church, like about Old Testament, the Jonah. So try to escape, go away. But the church member, they grab him, whatever. So to point the finger to him to do this and that, but he didn't want to do it. But end up that successful, but he still don't want to do it. So what kind of calling of that?
You look at Moses. Moses tell God, no, don't use me. Send someone else. I don't want to do it. Moses say, I'm not a good speaker. I'm not qualified. Moses keeps saying that all the time until God get angry at Moses. You look at Moses himself, he keeps saying no.
So that way cannot run away no more, right, Ajahn?
Yep.
What kind calling?
What kind is calling?
What is of calling like that?
God called Moses from birth. His
Oh.
parents know that.
Oh,
Calling from the word.
from the bird. Okay.
From birth, but Moses keeps saying no.
Okay, Ajahn.
Yep.
Sorry, Ajahn, earlier tried to come in, but I cannot hear myself. Cannot hear you guys.
Yeah, sometimes when you use the phone, I don't know, sometimes the app doesn't connect.
Let's see.
So we talk about calling in general term now.
Ajahn, let's talk about Ukraine.
Mhm.
Do you think that the president is elected by God because he's Jewish and his wife is Christian, and and he's not a politician and he's not supposed to be a president, but they electing him as president, so he's in the right time, I would say. So do we think that God just placed him in the right spot?
Well, the president of Ukraine is very uniquely special. You know that his former job is he a comedian. He a comedian who turned to be president and one of the best. You know that a lot of comedians are very smart people. The people who make people laugh, they're very smart. They're not dumb. They pretend to be dumb, but they're very smart. They can make people laugh. And why I say God select him for this job? You know that if someone else, I think that they don't have the skill to deal with all over the world to get support. And you see that he won the war even before it started. Even he a small country, but he won the whole world support. The way he speak, the way he react. Not by accident that he became president. Yes, he a Jewish guy.
I think what I like him is like, when they said, we send him the airplane to you, you have to get out from this country. He said, I don't want your airplane, I want support, I want your guns. It's really bold statement.
He very smart. He know how to play with people feeling and support. A lot of dictator or leader will get anything that they can get. But he know when to get it and when to refuse it. So you learn from him. He still have a lot to teach us. And he's going to be Jack who killed the giant. Or David who going to kill Goliath. Do you believe that that small country is going to win over Russia? They will.
I think more like David versus Goliath, and courage that he stood up for his country, even though the West, the president in the West tried to let him lead when Russian come in, but he stood still like David was Goliath.
Yeah, he know that he cannot win by himself. If either he run away or stay, he still lose. But miracle will happen. He just hope for miracle. And miracle do happen. And I believe that when you listen to him or see the situation, you want to support him. Because you know that in reality, he will never cannot stand against Russia. I think psychologically we all held the underdog. We always support the underdog. Okay, now come back to you.
I missed that, John. You guys talk about the Russian and Ukraine.
You still want to continue about Ukraine and Russia?
No, I mean, I went to get the border. I didn't know what the first subject, what you're talking about, the Russian or the Ukraine's president or what?
Oh, Nathan asked about the Ukraine president. He's
okay.
He's a Jew.
Okay.
That God select him for the purpose.
Okay. All right. Thank you, John.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I think so.
Yeah, you see, the Bible says that nobody go to power without God's support or God's approval. So God have a purpose.
But does that mean the Vietnam, the small country, that's very small power, but how come he win the two big country? He won the French, he won the America.
Yeah, that's something you can learn from them, how they won over the big guy.
Right, the powerful country.
Yeah, we still have to learn from them.
I think they call Vietnam, they call unconventional war.
Yeah. It's like the Russia go to Ukraine, while Russia lose, bigger, have all the power, all the firearm, but still losing the war. You know, Russian soldier like American soldier go to that war, they don't want to go. But the Vietnamese fight for their survival. They have no choice. They have to fight for their survival, like the Ukraine. They fight to survive. They don't fight to win. The Vietnamese in that same situation. Okay, think about your calling. We're going to come back and talk more about your calling. Okay, let's go back to our calling. Now, they say that there are 6 signs to tell you that you have been called for the gospel ministry, mean that full-time pastor or minister. What are the signs? There are many theories, but the first sign, they say that inside yourself, your heart tells you that you have a calling, but you refuse. You're fighting inside yourself. If you don't know this, why you're fighting inside yourself? If you know that there is no call, you don't need to fight. But because you know that there is a core, this is why you're fighting yourself inside. It starts with here. In your heart, you know that something, but you don't want it. So you start fighting when you feel that inside your heart. Your heart keeps telling you that this is what God wants you to do. But you're fighting that feeling, that thinking. Consciously, unconsciously, you keep fighting. So this is inside you. It starts inside you. This is the first sign to tell you God called you. So the second sign, outside influence. Now you start seeing things outside you. People start telling you God called you. People start telling you that, oh, they have a feeling that this is what God has for you. Now you start hearing from old people, young people, everyone around you start saying that they see that God going to use you. Now this is confirmation from outside. You hear that often and more often now. The third side, loving concern. Now, anyone who's serving God need to have a heart to love God, love people, and love the ministry. You have that love inside you. It's not just you want to do, but you love to do it. What's the difference? A lot of people do it, but they don't love it. They do it because they have to do it. And nobody do it, but you love to do it. This is the big sign. You love to serve. You love to teach. You love to preach. You love to share. And you love to do all these things. Now, this is different though. Because you need to do this with love to last forever. To be sure that this is what God have for you. You love to do it. Not because people pay you to do it or people make you to do it, but you love to do it. Overwhelming constraint. What that mean? God will not let him be released from his duty to preach. It means that you know inside you that you cannot run away from it. You know that this thing will follow you forever. You know that this is for you. So this is something that deep down you pull you back. Even you run away, it keeps pulling you back. It's like you have a rope tied on your waist. You run away, but you always have to come back because the rope is still there. You don't see it, but it's there. Suffering humility means that you yourself know that this is not about you. This is something bigger than you. You just do the obeying part, obeying God to do what God wants you to do. It's not about you. It's a big honor, but you know that you not deserve it. You have that feeling. I'm not good enough, like Moses keeps saying, or Jeremiah keeps saying, I'm nothing. Why are you using me, God? But you know that God using you, and you feel humble. You feel that you're not qualified. You feel you're not good enough. And that is normal. Most people feel the same thing. Now they call corporate confirmation. It means that everyone around you can feel the same thing. They confirm to you that this is what God wants you to do. They tell you that, not just one people, but a lot of people around you. They keep telling you that this is what God going to do. Now there are 6 of them. I want to come back to you and see which one that you have. Feeling of humility, overwhelmed constraint, loving concern, outside influence, and inner compulsion. Which one that you have the strongest? And which one that is still working in you, or among 6 of them? Inner compulsion, outside influence, loving concern, overwhelming constraint, sovereign humility, corporate confirmation. Which one that you have the strongest that keep you on? Don't tell me that you don't have anyone. I think that if you don't have anyone, you don't sit here.
Ajahn, I think for me and Farm, I think we have, but we don't know where.
We're doing too much, that's why.
Sometimes you need to sit down and breathe and see. Sometimes you're too busy.
I think seriously, I think me and Farm, we have pretty much a little bit of everything.
Yeah, most of you will have everything. It's just something stronger than another thing. And it not stop there. Everything will keep growing, developing. You will see the side clearer and clearer. Why I say that you need to see all these things with you? Because we're talking about a lifetime ministry. You're not talking about a year or two. This is your whole life. Depend on them.
How about the rest of students? We want to hear from them because to me and Farm, I think we just like the book says, we have to hear get the confirmation from the other people. We don't have that, so I want to hear from other students.
Now I know that sometimes you don't want to share your feeling or your experience. But this is the good way to evaluate yourself from time to time. Why you do what you're doing? What keep you doing it? This is not just a job. This is not just a duty. It's more than that. You need to love what you're doing.
Ajahn, for our situations, for example, we see things that need to be done, but we see that our church they don't have that gift. But for me and Farm, we don't have it. But I think if we really put our effort into it, we have it. So that means we see what it needs to be done. So like or not, we have to do it. So is it is a good way to do it, or just like because we just like how can I say, pretty much like spare tire.
Well, a lot of time you need to listen to your heart. What God wants you to do. And sometimes you have to step up in faith to do a certain thing. You know, you might not be successful the first few times, but you won't stop doing it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I have been teaching all these classes for 37 years. I have seen hundreds and hundreds of students. And one thing I found out that not the smartest student is the best preacher or the best pastor.
Yeah, one thing I noticed, being a pastor, a good pastor, you need to preach from your heart. It's not, you don't preach from your knowledge. If you preach from your knowledge, then you're just teaching. But if you preach from your heart, you touch other people, a person's heart. That's one thing I noticed that.
Yeah, but it takes several years to move from your head to your heart. You see, it just maybe one foot, but it takes so many years. Well, but it's good from your head or from your heart if you're still serving God. But you don't stop there. Supposedly, most young pastors start with their head. And then they keep move on to their heart. You ever seen any pastor who never moved from head to heart?
I think it happens, I think.
John,
Yeah.
I think it's some pastor can move from the heart to the head. You believe that?
That's the wrong way.
Uh-huh.
Maybe
So you-
some, but I think that's the wrong way of moving.
Mhm.
I found some American pastor moving from heart to head.
I think, like I said, heart's gonna be feel like you're loving the people, you want to serve the people, and then like I said, some of them move from the heart to the head, and then make them study and learn and become and from the head down to the heart again.
Well, if you could keep moving up and down, it's good. But a lot of people never move back. So the good thing, you need to have both. So
You can have all, excuse me, you can have all the knowledge, but if you don't have the heart to serve or the heart of love, I think you cannot do it.
yeah, but the church will never grow if you don't really teach them much. So the church need to grow. The believer need to grow. You need to teach them something.
We talk about the calling, right, John?
Well, we talk about we all have a call. Just we try to find out what kind of call we have. And we have all the signs that God put in us or not. Why we don't see it? Or we look in the wrong place. You are a hunter and fisherman. You know that where to find fish. Where to find your games. If you don't know that, you waste your time, your money. I have one member who go to fish every time. I say, oh, My wife happy every time because I stop at Safeway. So every time when I came home, I have fish. Not because he got something, but he buy it from Safeway. So that's the second best though. He catch nothing, but he don't want his wife to complain that you waste time, waste money. So he stopped at Safeway, make his wife happy. I got a fish for you. And wife never complain.
Ajahn, so do you, with all those years that you've been teaching, which student that you notice that when he or she start going to your class, you say, okay, this person is gifted on this area and this area. Do you have any example?
Oh yes, I can tell, I can see.
Thank you.
But and I always say that we all have different gifts. And God's going to use you in different way. And as I say that the most important thing that you need to have is faithfulness. Keep serving God your whole life, not just a few years, but your whole life. And that is the way God going to evaluate you, not how smart you are, how many people you bring to church, or how big your church is, but your faithfulness. That's all. According to your gift. Yes, Kat.
Ajahn, is sometimes God use you for temporarily, and then after that, said no, you're expired.
Fine.
Well, in the Old Testament, we see that sometimes God calls someone to use just for a short time, and then done, job done.
Mhm.
Possible. Because God could use someone just for a certain kind of job. And when job done, his calling done.
I heard someone said
Hmm.
maybe the COVID-19 God used him. After that, maybe that his time is expired.
Yeah, for that work, maybe God will use him for something else. It's possible.
Thank you, Ajahn.
That's what he said.
We need to make ourselves available all the time. Tell God, anytime you want to use me. I have a professor who pastor a church for more than 50 churches. I say, how do you do that? They say that when some church don't have pastor, I go there to help them. 3 months, 6 months, and then when they have someone, I quit. Go back to teach. And when some church need pastor again, temporarily pastor, I fill in. That's why I pastor 50 churches. So he make himself available. He never stay any day longer than 6 months or 8 months. But it's okay for him.
I think Ajahn, that's the best way. Because
Yeah.
if they too long, if you stay too long, they don't like you anymore.
But for him, his real job is teaching.
Yeah.
Pastoring is just something he come to help. He never considered that God called him to be a permanent pastor. But a lot of American churches have problems because the pastor stay just a few years and quit. So that is not good for the church. You cannot do much with a few years, 2-3 years. When you quit, they have to start all over again. And after a few years, they quit again. That's difficult.
Ajahn, I heard that in American congregation, it's pretty hard to find a pastor. Is it right?
Right. A lot of churches don't have pastor.
Because there's a lot of students, a lot of Christian students.
That's the qualification, like
Yeah.
pastors, like you have to go through intensive interview. They just can't hire like million people. They just use whoever they favor, whoever, you know, you can't do
Yeah.
that. They have a law, they have procedure they have to follow.
They
That's
expect
what
too
it
much.
takes.
Yeah, they interview sometimes 40, 50, and don't find anyone they like. So it's tough too. The good one only somewhere. When you interview a lot, it means that the whatever you have is not the best one. Okay, we take a short break and we will come back. Now we talk about 6 great leader do in a one-on-one. Now we talk about you as a supervisor. The second topic of today is about how to supervise someone on one-on-one. I remember that in the past, when you learn how to be supervisor, you have a supervisor and you meet one-on-one with that supervisor every week. To do what? To report what you have done for the whole week. And that supervisor evaluate what you have done, good, successful, need improvement, or anything. Now you are a supervisor. You're going to do that to other student or other worker that need your advice. So this is the step that in order to be a good supervisor, good manager, what you need to do. The one-on-one is still important in ministry because you need to spend time with someone that you're going to help them learn. And a lot of things you cannot teach just in class because everyone have different situation, different problem that you need to deal with. I talk about problem in ministry, personal problem in family, and a lot of other things that they need your advice. They need your help. And this is the way of the Bible. You know that when Jesus had 12 apostles and Paul had a few students, they live with the master. The student move with the master. Wherever the master go, the student go with them. Live with them, help them, and learn from them. So this is like living as a son in the family. And the master treat the journeyman or the man that come to learn as a son. So they help with all the work in the household and they learn. And then they spend time together to talk while eating, while resting, and then they're learning something. And the master help them correct what they have done and teach them more, make them do better job next time. So in order to do that, you need to feel comfortable with each other. This is why in modern day, you need to match yourself with a supervisor, or supervisor need to select students. Paul don't accept all students. Jesus don't accept all students. Why? Because there need to be someone that the master see that they fit. and they can work with. A lot of students come to Paul, but Paul won't take them. In the old time, it doesn't mean that when you have money, you can go to any master and be their student. No, they need to select you. They need to want to work with you. So this is not like the open day school like today. You have money, you just apply to any school, they take you. But a lot of famous and good schools select students now. They don't accept everyone. Even you have money to pay, they won't take you. They just select a few that they see that going to fulfill their goal and to be successful. Now, this is some advice. Before you help someone, you need to plan with them what they're going to do the next year, what assignment they're supposed to do, what lesson they need to learn. And each one need a due date and a criteria to evaluate the success, what job they have done. So they need to agree with that. If not, you don't have anything to talk on, anything to discuss about. So you need to draw that what kind of thing the student or your journeyman want to learn, want to practice, and what kind of criteria going to use to evaluate their success. But some warning, one-on-one supervision is not performance review or tied to evaluate them for promotion. No, it's different goal. One-on-one supervision is tied to help your student improve. From that point on, you're not going to evaluate that you fail, you did not do a good job. No, we're not going to do that. But you're going to help them from that point on. Okay, you have progress, one step, two step. You can do better job by doing this, doing that. So the goal is to help your student or your trainer to get better every time, to find what the problem, help them solve the problem, and help them to learn to do better job and to make the life better. That's the goal. Not tied to find their fault. That is not the goal. We all have fault and we are not perfect. And especially as you work as a team, everyone needs to have the same goal, need to understand the same thing. And when you help some new trainer to work in your team, one-on-one, you can talk deeper, you can help them learn better. Because when you have a big group, someone will never learn something. Someone who's shy or someone who's slow will never catch up with the team. So when you have time with one-on-one, you can help each one to grow or to learn, to catch up in their speech. And they don't feel they were left out because you have time for them. Each one of them will have a time with you. So this is important for the teamwork. And nothing can replace good relationship. When you have a lot of people work with you, and you never have a time on each one of them. But when you spend time on one-on-one with your staff, with your journeyman, or with your student, this is the best way to build relationship. You can talk and you can discuss and you can build friendship on that. You know that in the old days, the student and the teacher have a lot of time on one-on-one. One-on-one means that personal time. But today you see that modern day school built on big classes. Some classes, they use auditorium and professor lecture to hundreds of students. And you think that they can build relationship with that? Impossible. They don't have time. And there are too many students. And the professor cannot deal with so many students. Even you see, oh, they are your advisor, but the whole semester you might go to see them one time for 10-15 minutes to sign their name on your paper or something. That's all. They don't have time. So that is the problem of modern day school. The class too big, not enough teacher. But they say that in order to make a good ministry, you need to have enough leader or teacher with the student, and even enough time to spend with each one of them personally. So this is something that we bring back. And this is the way that Paul, Jesus used with his team all the time. Now there is some advice, some successful. Some question first. They say that, first, do you really need a one-on-one meeting? Well, if you ask this question, 67% of employees in any company said yes, they want it. But in reality, they don't have it. But if you ask your employee, do you want time to meet with your leader or manager or supervisor on one-on-one? Almost 70% of the employees say yes. But impossible. No company have time for that, or don't think that they can do that. But the employee want it. So how do you deal with that? And if you go on many more study from even from churches and all kind of business, they found out that one-on-one that the employee or the staff have with the leader or the manager is so important. To talk with about work and about a lot of things. But when they need it, why we don't give it to them? Well, time they don't have. Secondly, they don't have money to hire more staff. So business just try to make profit the best they can. But when you do that to your employee too long, they will quit or they will work less and less for you. But now at the church, at a ministry, we know the secret. We need to try to correct the mistake. And they say that if you have a team that you can spend time together more, it builds trust and it helps fix all the problem. They talk about sticking point mean that differences. We always have differences, but when you have time to sit down and talk, make friends, you can solve a lot of problems. You can support one another. You can help and make people happy by working on that. Okay, this is more study. If you have time to read on, I might not have time to cover everything, but I want you to get some idea. When you meet on one-on-one, there's a lot of suggestion. You can suggest them what is their goal, what is their plan for future, what is their challenge. This is some topic that you can talk when you meet one-on-one with your staff or with your trainer or with your journeyman. And a lot of things is about their feedback, how they feel, what they think, what the problem they encounter, and what they suggest to the company or to your church. What else we can do? Can we win together as a team? A lot of things will come from research, and a lot of things will come from a lot of study in business. Why we borrow a lot of ideas from business? Because the business do their study all the time. Why the church rarely do any research? Mainly because we don't have money, we don't have time, we don't have people to do that. But business that depends on all this knowledge to improve themselves, to make better job, to make more money. So we can borrow from them. Now, this is some idea that when you have a one-on-one with your journeyman or your supervisor, you want to get the feedback about the team, how they feel, and how they feel that we support them, or what else that they need from us, what we can do to make the job easier, or what is about their role. They feel that they're equipped enough to work, or their work is too much, too little, or the work challenging, or the work give them opportunity to grow. Now, this is important point. Modern day people want a chance to grow, want to give something to society. They want to know that what they do in their job help improve society. If their job is just a boring stuff that contribute nothing to society, a lot of young people of modern day don't want to do it. And especially at church, our ministry need to contribute to humankind, make people happier, make better people. And that is our goal. They need to know that, and they need to find that we can do that together as a team. And you can talk about their personal lives, what problem they have, and what we can help them. And this is more advice of make agenda, mean that make some point that both of you and them agree on that we can talk about and let them move the meeting. Don't tell them everything. Let them guide you something they want to talk, something they want to learn. Give them some freedom. And everything that you talk with your supervisor or your journeyman is private, mean that you don't take what you talk to tell the whole world. Keep that secret. You need to respect their confidentiality. Don't with the chair with you, you don't tell everyone. And have enough time. Don't say, oh, I don't have time. I just have 10 minutes for you. They feel that they are not important. And you just squeeze them in. So the best thing is always have 1 hour time. That's enough to talk about a lot of things. So this is always a good time to have 1 hour. Reserve 1 hour. And wrap up with action item mean that before you finish, always have some goal to do again, to do something together or something that challenge them for the next meeting before they come. Something. And what they call receive the urge to reschedule, mean that before you meet, you have to cancel and reschedule. This is not a good thing. When you plan to have a meeting on one-on-one with someone, always keep it. Don't change it the last minute and say, oh, we don't have time, reschedule it. It's not bad feeling because you will show them that they are not important, something else more important than them. So don't do it unless it's serious, like you're going to die, you have a surgery, your wife in the hospital or something like that. If not, don't reschedule them. Don't say that, oh, I have appointment to have dinner with some friend. They feel that you don't care about them. They are not important. So this is just some idea. You can read through them, and I think they're not so difficult about all this suggestion. Okay, I will stop a little bit and come back to you to talk about you have enough time with your supervisor or the one that you train. You spend enough time to help them or not. Okay, your reflection or your question about how you help someone get training from you. Anything new that you learned tonight? Oh, you already know everything.
We don't know a lot of things, Ajahn. That's why we're learning.
Yeah, a lot of things is something we overlook. And a lot of things we don't pay attention in the past. So this class is about you going to be supervisor or manager to help someone. Young people who are going to learn how to serve or work with you. This is all your role as a leader now, how you help them. And tonight we talk about you spend time with them one-on-one. I know sometimes you don't feel comfortable. You know, when I was a young pastor and some student asked me to be their advisor or supervisor or mentor, I don't feel comfortable. Why? Because I don't feel that I qualify. I still too young. And the student may be the same age with me. So I feel that I don't qualify to do that for them. But still, they respect me as a pastor. They are students. They want to learn something from me. I should be available to help them. So that's the same thing, though. You have something to help someone when they ask you to help them. You can share your experience. You are not perfect. We are not perfect. We're still learning with them in the same time. It's going to surprise you that when you help someone learn, you learn too. We never stop learning. And never thought that you already learn everything or know everything.
There's a lot of things that we don't know in the Bible. For instance, where is Mary, the mother of Jesus, died? What place? And the Bible didn't say, right, John? And we don't know that. The reason I asked that because the student.
Your student asked you on that?
No, I don't know. Even though the Bible might dictionary might say that, oh, she probably died in Jerusalem, or she buried there, or she probably died in Ephesus or Patmos.
Well, a lot of things we don't know that better don't know, because if you know everything, it's going to be too much. The Bible is this big, it's already a lot to learn. If it record everything, it's going to be many volumes that we have to read the whole life.
So we should not believe the archaeology. Should we?
Well, some is okay, some is doubtful, some is guessing. So nobody know for sure from the old bone, or old thing. They're just guessing.
Yeah. We had one of somebody that from I think a chance student, even go to school with you and they still believe that they found Jesus from archaeologists. I believe in archaeologists. I said, if you believe in archaeologists, what is the Bible to you? You should believe Bible. If the Bible didn't say it, they said they found Jesus' bone or something like that, like archaeologists. I said, if they found Jesus' bone, Jesus has not resurrected. Right? So it's really complicated to have some, conversation like that, with people that and believe, and then all of a sudden had these thoughts and feelings about, doubts about the Bible.
Well, it's always some weird stuff happen.
Mm.
And I can say that some of my old students now have a very weird belief. I don't know because they're too smart or too dumb. Yeah,
We talk about the supervisor for the trainer. So whatever one-on-one that if I am the supervisor, my wife is the employee or whatever. So this is a little bit for me it's tough too, one-on-one. So if he or she asking you to privately, and then if you don't know how to answer, and then what should we do? We have to discuss it and then bring it to someone higher than education or what?
Well, it depends on what kind of question too. We don't know everything, and that's true. We have to accept that. And it's a good idea to ask authority to know the better answer than us.
Mhm.
We are not the perfect or the scholar of everything. Something we still need to learn more or to get advice too.
Okay, thank you, sir.
You're welcome. So what is the most difficult thing for you to do as a supervisor or trainer to young people or new people? What is the most difficult part that you feel?
How about I think old people.
Or people who don't want to listen to you, they think they know everything.
Exactly. That's why if you are younger, you supervise the older than you. That is
More
conflict.
difficult,
That's more difficult.
because we expect them and we
First of all, for the Asian culture, anyway, we should respect older a little bit, so we cannot go over the limit.
Well, Paul Timothy is a young pastor, and a lot of people are older than him. Timothy still need to respect older men, but still he the pastor. He have the authority from God. So it's like you see in Thai or Asian culture, the father bow down to his son. Why?
อาจารย์
uniform อาจารย์ what the monk.
Yeah, the son become a monk.
Mhm.
The
I
old man
think-
still bow down to his son.
I think one-on-one is kind of very hard for me about the family. Because I recently I had my dad, my mom, they still alive, and they didn't communicate with my children. So I'm in the middle. As you know, my dad kind of he really complain many things. And then my kid doesn't like to complain. I'm in the middle. I cannot say, if I say something, hey, dad, you need to stop this. And then my dad, he doesn't like that. And I tell the kid, hey, you have to respect grandpa. But so many times, my kid get mad on me too. That's the one-on-one. So really hard to deal with that way.
Well, we call the crash of civilization, the crash of culture. Your children are second generation. Your parents are first generation. You are 1.5 or 1.5. You are in the middle. You're supposed to be the bridge to help them cross over to one another. So your job is the bridge. People walk on you, so it's tough. What the job of a bridge? For people to walk over.
Ajahn, I don't get it. That word, was that breeze or what?
I talk about you are the bridge. B-R-I-D-G-E, bridge.
Bridge,
Yeah.
สะพาน
Sapan. Thank you, John.
Welcome. Well, we learn to work the best we can. I believe that you try a lot of things in the past, but there always some new idea that we need to try.
I have a question on how to fill out the diploma sheet.
Okay.
This one,
Okay, what's your question?
hang on. This one right here. I don't know what to fill out for some of the items here.
What you don't know?
The ID.
Oh, don't worry. You just turn it in and find the ID for you.
Okay. It says legal first name and then only name. What do I fill out for name? Does that mean like last name, middle name, or first name?
Your full name, first
Okay.
name, middle name, and last name, because that is the one they get to write on your diploma.
Okay, and then the middle name. Okay.
Whatever you want to show in your diploma, print that on that line.
Okay.
They will copy that on your diploma.
And then we put I am a student at Advanced Center Code and name.
Okay, don't worry. It's not a Thai-Lao School of Theology. Your code is C5. So if you don't know, we fill out for you.
Okay. Can you help us after all of this class then?
Okay, you can either turn it in or fill out whatever you know about yourself, your address, and what you don't know. Sometimes I don't know too. I have to find out for you because all of you have your student number that I don't know too.
Okay. After around 10, can you help me?
With that form.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
It might be before 10.
Okay.
It's around 9:30 something. Okay. Okay, any other question before we take a break?
Ajahn, Friday is a good day because Saturday I gotta, like I go from 8 to 10 and from 10 and then I disappear. Like last Saturday, I think you guys talking to me, but I wasn't in the room. I was in, somewhere else in the church. So I use a church on Saturday for Zoom, but now I can use it home and on Friday.
Okay, good. It looks like all of you love Friday night. You know that I joke with my wife and member that I have been teaching you for 37 years and nobody ever mentioned about Friday night until I have to do it because I have to read Tao on Saturday. And now they say that I open a can of worm and not put them back. Or take the kidney out of it.
I think it's good if it the needs of every student. You know, every student can make it. You know, that's good. Saturday, a lot of student might want to go hunting, right, or fishing.
You know, COVID changed everything.
Yeah.
Without COVID, I think we still on Saturday
Driving down there.
at church.
Ajahn, would you mind if one or two students they don't use the credit, they might get in with us or no for the Lao country?
No problem. If they don't want credit, they can join anytime.
Thank you.
Invite Ajahn Sufei to join too.
Yeah, that's why I want them to come in too. Yeah.
Ajahn Sufei join our Monday night group, Ajahn,
From where?
from Laos.
Oh, okay. But if they want diploma, they need to fill the form for seminary. Or if they don't have money, the Thai-Lao school can give them diploma if they do the homework. So for students from Laos, from another country, I can give them scholarship for the Thai-Lao school.
Wow.
If they want to get diploma from us and do homework, do project.
Okay, let's take a break. Thank you.
Okay. So tell your friend, family from Laos or from Thailand or from Vietnam, if they want to learn the real seminary class, they can join us and try out and see. And told them don't need to worry about money. If they want a diploma from seminary, we need to find a way to help them. But if they want diploma from Thai-Lao school, I can give them scholarship, study free.
Thank you everyone for agreeing to study on Friday night. Make our life so much easier because Saturday our schedule is so tight. We're running around like chicken with no head, you know? So Friday night helps a lot. So that doesn't mean that we don't have anything to do on Saturday. We still have plenty, but just a little bit less stress. Thank you. Thank you, Ajahn, too, for your input and cooperation and everything. Thank you.
Well, God make it happen. I never dream about it.
I've been playing this schedule a long time because my job really struggle for myself.
Okay, we're going to, let's see. Section 3, church history. Today we talk about the important thing that happened on the 4th century, 5th century, and even up to 6th century. So hopefully around 300 years. A lot of things happen, but we're going to pick up just a certain important thing in that 300 years of the early church. Now, the important thing about the 4th century is the conversion of Constantine. You know that for 300 years, the Roman persecute Christian. And Christians are labeled as illegal religion of the Roman Empire. So Christians have to go underground. They worship in the cemetery, they're in hiding. Because when the government found out that wherever they meet, they put them in jail. The worst is put them to death. Every day in the Colosseum, they put Christian there and put lion go after Christian. Or put the gladiator going down to kill Christian that they capture every day. So every day that is the sport that the Roman love. we call killing sport. And the victim are Christian. So in that 300 years, we estimate that maybe hundreds of thousands of Christians were killed there. Somebody even claimed that up to 1 million. We don't know exactly the number. But you see, several hundred were killed every day, sometimes thousands. So Christian in hiding, but as we say, when they kill one, there are two come to church or convert. So they cannot kill all, because whenever they kill one, more people join the church. Why? Because the soldier, the Roman soldier, the Roman citizen see how brave Christian is. Christian not afraid to die for God and to protect Jesus' name. No, most of them will dare to die for the name of Jesus. The Roman even offer them, if you denounce Jesus, we will let you go. But most of Christians will never denounce Jesus, even to death. So that impressed the soldier, impressed the Roman citizen so much that how can they stand up to the government, to the emperor until death? So more and more secret soldiers are Christian, more and more citizens are Christian and join the church. So by the time in the 4th century, we believe that there are millions of Roman citizens are Christian already. Even the government publicly denounce Christianity because Christians will not bow down or worship the emperor. The emperor demands that all citizens need to bow down and worship the emperor as God. The emperor put themselves as God. But now we talk about Constantine. Who is he? We're going to talk more about him later on, but here we just say that he the first Roman emperor who saw a vision. He tried to unite all the fraction of the Roman city into a big empire, but nobody ever successful. And he tried for several years with no success too. But one day he had a vision. He saw that he go to war with the cross flag. He go to war with a flag with the symbol of the cross, and he won. So that is something that he said that we need to put the cross on our flag, not symbol of emperor or the Roman god anymore, but Christian symbol. And he did that, and he won. Everywhere he go, he won. So he know that Christian God is the real God, and he have to believe. So he decided to be Christian. And overnight, the whole empire followed the emperor. Everyone become Christian now. But we have problem because a lot of them join the church not because they understand, not because they believe, but to satisfy the emperor. And they don't want to change. They still worship idol. They still worship the Roman God, but they call themselves Christian now. They come to the church and they take over the church. They hijack the church from that point on. That something else we're going to talk more in the different chapter, different week. But some good thing happened here because they don't kill Christian anymore. But persecution is not stopped there, but come in the different form. So the Roman everywhere confess Christianity and say that this is the religion of the Roman now. But you see that they don't call Christian church, they call Roman Catholic Church. Now why they still keep using the word Roman Catholic? Because they're not really Christian. They still really cling on their old Roman culture, tradition, and religion. That's why they call Roman Catholic. The word Catholic in Latin just means that universal church of the Roman. Now they use Christianity to advance the Roman religion. They mix Christianity into the Roman religion and call that now we join Christianity. Everyone can accept us. And we don't kill Christian anymore, but the real believers will suffer. The fake ones rule the church now. They control the church and they want everything because they found out that this is the new way to make money, to have power, claim themselves to be Christian. A lot of things happen, but there's still some real believers all over the world. But they're going to be minority now because when the government rule over the church, they control the teaching, they control the leadership, and the real teaching stop now. You cannot have a real teaching of the Bible now. You have the mixed Roman religion that teach in the church now. Now a lot of weird stuff, weird teaching come into the church. But the real believers still some hold on in Asia and in Africa, not in Rome. You see that we talk about Alexandria is in Egypt, Antioch in Asia Minor. There still have real believers there who stand firm against the Roman church that have false teaching now. You see that you still have Carthage, you have Ephesus, Caesarea in Palestine who have real believers still there. But the real believer will die off and the new believer will not have no chance to learn the truth because the church controlled by the Roman. And they don't allow you to teach the real Bible now. But if you ask about Constantine, is he a good emperor? Well, he tried at least, because he know that by Christian God, he won over the whole empire. And he know that God is powerful. And he really want to worship God, but he don't know much because he's just a soldier. And a lot of things happen. We know that Constantine never get baptized. Why? Why he still have power? Because he believed that if he get baptized, he cannot kill anymore. So he hold on until he very old and very sick on the deathbed. How you baptize an emperor who old and sick in the river, frozen river? Impossible. So the new idea of sprinkling happened from that point on. To help the emperor to get baptized by sprinkling a little bit water over his head and make him feel good that now you baptize before you die. And everyone liked the idea. From now on, all the Roman will get sprinkling instead of dipping in the water. So the new teaching happened about sprinkling. And here we talk about some leader of the church. We talk about later on the Council of Constantinople. We talk about the leader in another thing about Constantine is he built a new capital. You see, Rome used to be capital all the time for the Roman Empire, but Constantine want to build a new capital. So he chose Constantinople is a city that he named after himself. In today is in Turkey. In the old day we call Asia Minor, and Constantine called it Eastern Roman Empire. Rome is the west, Constantinople is the east. So he want a new capital in the east called Constantinople. Today is in Turkey, but in those days we call Asia Minor, under the Greek control. Most of them are Greek. So there, now you have two churches, two capitals, the east and the west. Rome, The Church of Rome, the Bishop of Rome always claimed himself the most powerful one. And the church in Constantinople also claimed that we are the capital to a new capital in the East. But most of them are Greek descendant or Greek culture. And later on, they will separate themselves. The Roman will continue worship idol because they convert all old Roman temple to be Christian church. They don't dump all the idol. They keep all the idol, all the statue. They just change the name from Sud to be Saint Peter, from Diana statue, they change to be Saint Mary or anything that they can name off. They never throw away their old Roman god or statue. They just rename them after the apostle. And all the temple that used to be Roman temple now changed to be all saint church. They just recycle the temple to be a church. They recycle all the statue to be apostle. And they recycle the old Roman teaching to be Christian Roman Catholic. So you see that the Roman don't change anything. They just recycle the old thing and make them look Christian, that's all. Now you talk about Constantinople. It's the Greek culture. And then later on, they will separate out to be the Eastern Orthodox. They say that the Roman in the West worship idol, but they worship painting. In the Church of the Orthodox, will worship painting. Painting of Jesus, painting of Mary, painting of Apostle, all things. They don't have idol, but they have all the painting everywhere in the church, and they worship those paintings. They say that they did not break the commandment. No idol. But the idol in the Bible doesn't mean a statue. It just means anything they worship beside God. That is the idol. Now we talk about aestheticism, mean that in the 3rd and the 4th century, the church will have some who goes in very devoted, try to spend the time in church. And you ask that where all this group come from, the spirituality, aestheticism, well, a lot of old idea from the Roman. The Roman used to have priests and priestess who devote their whole life in the temple. And now they just change the name to be Christian. And they still do the same thing, mean that they spend their whole life in the temple.
Yeah.
Praying, fasting, and chanting. They just change a lot of things to be Christian, but they still do the old thing that they did at the Roman religion. But some of them come to close to God more because they really want to know Christianity. But a lot of them don't know how to read, don't know how to write, even the leader. So this is the problem. And monasticism will happen. What is it? You see, the Roman used to have temple, and the people who devote their whole life to be monks, to be priests for the Roman temple, God and goddess. Now they call themselves Christian, but they still keep that practice. At monks, at a holy person who spend their time, don't get married, but most of the time in the temple worship idol and chanting all day. Now they take it to call themselves Christian monk or Christian monastic. So you see that all this idea come from the Roman religion. It's not Christian at all, but they change the name. They call themselves Christian monks, Christian monastic, and all called Christian way, but it's all the product of the Roman religion, Roman culture that they pass on and recycle at Christian now. They really travel to Israel, to the Holy Land, And they teach that they have to do that several times in their lifetime to be holy and to praise God. Well, this is the old Roman idea too. It's not Christian from the beginning with. And you have some name here, or the leader of the monasticism, the monks, the priests, the nun will all happen in this time. Now, the development of theology. And I say that there are some real Christian, someone who have education, someone who really not from the Roman culture. Augustine is not a Roman. He really from the Greek and from other culture, from Alexandria. You see, they're more on Greek, and they have real teaching foundation from Christian from Asia Minor. So they know how to read the Bible. And in those days, they already have Old Testament in Greek. And the Bible will start, or the letter that Apostle wrote, or in Greek too. So they know how to read Greek. So they know the Bible. Why the Roman, they don't know Greek, they know Latin. They don't know how to read the Bible. So that's the big problem for the several hundred years. The Roman who call themselves Christian don't know how to read Bible. And they don't bother to learn Greek. And that's the problem. But the people who come from Greek ancestor or the Asian Christian know Greek, learn Greek. So they know how to read the Bible. Augustine will be one of the leaders who try to teach the right teaching. And he born in around that 4th century. He's going to be an important person. We're going to talk more about him next week. You see that he is one of the two who come from the East. When we talk about the East, we talk about the eastern part of the empire, from Constantinople on, that today is Turkey, to Asia Minor, to Egypt, to Palestine. This is all the Christians from the East. And they know Bible. They start teaching and writing about theology, about real teaching of the church. And anyone who know how to read Greek, they can read it. But as I say that most of the Romans don't bother to learn Greek because they think that their language better, Latin. But there is no Bible in Latin at those days. So they don't know Greek, they don't read Greek, they don't know Bible. Whatever they know, it comes from the leader who also don't know the Bible. And the leader just all Roman priests. They just all know all the old teaching, all worshiping that they have. Now, problem between the East and the West will get deeper, because the East still, most of them still real Christian. They know the Bible. They have the real teaching. By the Church of the Roman in the West don't know Bible, don't read Bible, and still keep the Roman old religion in church. Now the problem will get worse and worse. Now you see that now this is the leader of the Roman Church in the West. The leader of the church in the East will have less and less power because the West will say that we are the capital. The church in Rome is the most important thing. They call themselves now, start with, call themselves Papa. At first call themselves Bishop, and then call themselves Archbishop, and then call themselves Cardinal, and later on call themselves Pope. What that means? The development to make themselves more and more important than every other church. In fact, at first, this is the pastor of Rome. That's all. But now they call themselves above all pastor, Pope. It's getting on more and more because they say that the leader in Rome, the Western Rome, they don't know Bible. They're not real Christian. They're just there for their power, for money, authority, that's all. And it's sad that a lot of early Pope don't know how to read or write. And you don't talk about the no Bible, forget it. And later on, they will claim that they get that position from Peter himself because Peter died at Rome. So they claim that Peter is the first Pope. And before Peter died, he gave the key of heaven and hell to the second Pope. That's the legend, that's the story. And later on, all the Pope will get the key from heaven and hell from Peter, the apostle. And there are more details here that you can read, but don't worry too much about all the name. You just get the idea. Okay, we stop here a little bit. And in general, I want you to get the idea of what happened in Rome in the first 300 years. And now we talk about the 4th and the 5th century. Mean that 500 years after the Christianity go to Rome, what happened to the church now? By the 4th century, the Romans call themselves Christian now. Stop killing Christian openly and claim themselves to be Christian. So how you feel about it? This is the history of the early church. At first it looked nice. The Roman became Christian. Outside it looked good, but the real thing is the bad thing. Now if you have a choice, let the Roman persecute Christian better than call themselves Christian. Do you think that which one better? Well, when the Roman persecute Christian, they kill Christian. When they call themselves Christian, they stop killing Christian, but they destroy the church. They hijack the church. Maybe the words that I better use. They hijack the church. They control the church now. Well, I don't mean that to be mean bad. You know that there are going to be a lot of changes developing among the Roman Catholic Church later on, and some of them learn how to know the Bible. And they're going to translate the Bible from Greek and Hebrew into Latin. So at least they have Bible later on. And a lot of people who have knowledge of the Latin will know how to read the Bible now. So maybe getting better in some way when people start reading the Bible themselves. But you will see the continuity that the church, the Roman leader will tell people, don't read the Bible because you will misunderstood the Bible. It's too difficult for you to understand. So they discourage people to read the Bible. Even now they translate into Latin. And a lot of rich people have knowledge of Latin, can read, but they tell them, don't read. Just listen to the leader, that's enough. So what's the point of have the Bible and don't read it? So nobody know the truth again. So just a few who will read it will know the truth.
Ajahn, maybe it is too hard for them to follow. I think of all the I mean, like the commandments that they have to follow, I think it is too hard for them to follow.
You're right. It's difficult. Even you know how to read Latin, like we know how to read English or Mian or Thai, and we still don't understand the Bible.
Mhm.
It's still difficult.
Yes. Ajahn, I have a question about the I think I missed if I heard it correctly, for a full-time pastor, the member has to have at least 80 or more, right, Ajahn?
Where you get that answer?
I just when I was talking to the American pastor, I think that he mentioned something about 80 members or more is a full-time. If the pastor is there, then he gets a full-time or something.
I think he talked about money because in American culture, if you have 80 members, you have enough donation to support a pastor or something. If you have less than that, maybe donation not enough to support the pastor full time.
I see. Yes, maybe I misheard it. I think something about 80 and it's a full-time pastor or something. Yeah. Anyway, yes, thank you, Ajahn.
You're welcome. But a lot of Asian churches don't have that many members and they have full-time pastor. So it means that we get less pay.
Right.
Okay, you have questions so far about the early church, how changes keep coming to the church.
Ajahn, Catholic Church, when the nun teaching, you know, it's not the Bible that they're teaching, right? All their material coming from the Pope writing, right?
Yeah, the leadership know a lot of things for them to teach people. And a lot of them not exactly Bible.
More like a Pope teaching.
Yeah, culture, tradition, old Roman teaching, culture. And
What
later
about
on,
the
the leader will like something more than the Bible and add on into the Bible.
like they have a Catholic school or they send their children to Catholic school and to learn. What are they teaching in the school?
It depends what kind of school you're talking about, regular school or religious
Private school.
Private school, it just they just teach regular thing. Students learn, but they will have a class about their own religious teaching, a subject that our students need to learn. Well, I don't mean I'm against the Catholic Church in the real meaning. I just talk about the history, how it formed and how it take over the Christian church that all.
Ajahn,
Yes.
do Catholic people, do they use the same Greek Bible as we do?
They call the Bible Latin Vulgate. It means that the Bible that Jerome translated in around the 6th century. They translate, Jerome himself by himself translate the whole Bible into Latin. And they keep using that version until today.
How different from our Bible then?
Okay, the difference is Jerome tried his best to translate the Bible that the church accept at those days. But the Catholic Church don't stop at that point. They still keep adding on the Bible. Today, you go to the church, you will see the Bible have more books than us. We have 66 books, but the Catholic have a lot more than us. So throughout the history, the Pope add on books that they wrote themselves or someone wrote to support new teaching. Like the birth of Mary, how Mary go to heaven, how Mary become God, all those stuff.
No wonder Mary is so important to the prayer, to the belief.
Yeah,
Thank you.
welcome. Okay, let's go back to try to finish. Now, in the fourth or fifth century, you will have some, they call that new teaching or different teaching all over the world now. Because new leader coming out and interpret the Bible in a little bit different way. Some teachers talking about the most big problem is about Jesus. For example, some say that Jesus is not equal to Father, the God, Father. Jesus is the Son and not equal to the Father. Or some new teaching say that Jesus is a man become God, or Jesus is just the angel. So you see that the Mormon, the Jehovah's Witness, not a new idea. It's already start in 4th, 6th, 5th, and 6th century, but they die off and come back. So all the Mormon, the Jehovah's Witness, all those stuff is not brand new. It's already there in the old day. It's already start there. It just go underground and pop up again. And this is why the church try to control people. Don't let them learn too much. When they learn too much, they might go crazy and have new idea about the Bible. So you see that the leader of the church need to have some kind of, you might call church council or conferences, try to unite the real theology about the teaching of the Bible. So they don't want anyone to teach whatever they want to teach now. They want a standard of teaching of the Bible. The theology that we learn today will have the beginning start in that time, around the 5th century, when the leader come together and lay a foundation of what we believe about Trinity, about God, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. In fact, Constantine is the one who invented the word Trinity for us, to make it clear. And there's so many other names of leaders who try to spread out and get a new teaching, but the leadership will stop them. But the church will have division, will have fighting about teaching from that day on, from the 4th, the 5th century, they start there. Now, after Constantine, new emperor come up, but all the emperor after him will claim themselves to be Christian. And some of them support the church in a lot of good way, because they found out that with Christianity, the kingdom, the empire united with the help of the church. Without now, they found out that without the church, the empire will spread out, will split into small part again. But as the church united, every city, everyone together. Now they see the benefit of the church. Now they support the church because the church have one Bible, the church have one theology, and it united everyone. Before Christianity come to the empire, everyone have their own teaching, thinking, culture. But now the church make one unity for the empire. So now the empire need church, not the church need the empire. The empire use the church for their own political benefit now. Now you call Justinian, this is all the emperor after Constantine. And now they all depend on the church. And now you see all the loyal, all the leader come into the church more, not because they believe, but they found out that this is the place of power, the place that they can make money. Now when all the politicians get into the church and try to be pastor or send their children to be pastor, not because they love God or they know the Bible, but to control their power, to use the church as the tool to control and to make money. Now they corrupt the church even more. All the leaders are not real believers. All the believers are fake ones who come in to make money, to get power, not for the church now, not for themselves and for their family alone. But some emperor mean good. They call all the Christian leaders from different parts of the empire that still know the Bible and real support the real teaching to meet in Rome and set up a lot of good standard for the church. But at least they mean good, but even they don't know much about Christianity. But you see, some leader of the church will not really want to come, don't want to join, because they don't believe in politicians. Now you see that you see the separate between the West and the East Church part of the empire. It will get more and more. The Western part in Rome always try to send out letter and demand all the leader from other parts of the empire to come to them, to accept the authority. But other part of the empire won't accept the authority. So war between them will happen. They're fighting who have power to control the whole church. And you can guess, the leader in Rome will use political power and military power to subdue all the leaders from the East. A lot of killing. And then they make themselves the most powerful church in the world, in Rome. So in a lot of things that you will see here is the war between different parts of the church, the East, the West, different leaders try to fight for their power and authority to control a certain part of the empire. There is a lot of detail about leader, about political leader, and also the church leader, but you don't need to know much. You just get the idea that fighting and war will happen between Christians in different parts of the empire for that many hundred years. And here, get to more of the problem. The empire tried to spread out to other parts of Europe, like go to England, Britain, and try to make the English people become Christian. You see that England is the island out of Europe, and they are not Christian yet. But now the Roman try to go there and conquer them and make them. You see, the Roman make Christianity at the empire religion, not because they know about Christianity or they believe in God really, but they found out that Christianity is a good tool to solicit, to unite the empire. The church helped them a lot. And they found out that the church will support the Latin language, the language of the Roman. You know that the whole empire speak all their native culture, their native languages. But the church make them all learn Latin. You know that the Roman ruled the world for several hundred years, and the people don't speak Latin, they speak Greek. So the Roman have no way to make them speak Latin until the church come into the picture. The Christian church, the Roman Catholic Church, forced everyone to learn Latin and united the whole empire with the Latin language. The success comes from the church, not from the soldier, not from the army, but from the church itself. Now you see that the empire needs the church. And the survival depends on the church now. Now, more and more of the Pope, they call themselves the great, the whatever they call themselves, because they're not a real religious leader. They are just soldiers who come into the church to control the church and make themselves rich, powerful by the power of the church now. Now everyone wants their kid to be pastor of the church, big church. How they get in? Pay a lot of money. But amongst all the bad guys, there are some real believers and some real people who really want to serve God, but they are minority. So, but there's always some of them who always there, who really want to come to God and want to worship God and fight God. And some of them have education, they can read the Bible and they know. And now some people try to tell the truth, but they are minority. And a lot of them were shut up or killed when you teach anything against the leader. Even what you teach is the truth, they cannot take it. And a lot of them know that the leader in Rome is not for God, they're just for themselves. Some of them try to do something by writing, teaching, but most of them were killed or want to shut up before they die. And the thing keeps happening, opening, repeating itself time after time throughout history for several hundred years. Now, in the surface, you look at the church growing because the Roman, wherever they go in Europe or any part of Africa or Asia, they bring Christianity with them. They call Christianity, but in fact, it's the Roman church. The priest, the monk go with them, and whenever the soldier conquer any land, the priest, the monk start the church and the school and make everyone learn Latin and learn Roman Catholic to be Roman Catholic. Now they go hand in hand. And it will repeat itself even under the 15th, 12th, 15th, 16th century when the English, when the French, when the Spanish go all over the world. They also bring the Catholic monk with them. The soldier kill the people, conquer the land, and the monk preach the Roman Catholic. They go hand in hand, work together to conquer the world for themselves. Okay. That is in general though. I don't want to read the whole thing to you because it's so boring and a lot of names that you don't need to remember. I just want you to get the general idea what happened. But some name you need to know because they are so important. And some name like Constantine, like some other people that I going to mention later on, some names you still need to know because they're so important. But a lot of names you don't need to know. Don't need to remember them. They just come and go. Okay, I want to come back for your question or reflection. In general, how you think about what happened to the church for the first few hundred years. In general or in outside, it looked very beautiful because now the whole world became Christian, at least the Roman world.
The Roman become a Christian by force, right, John? They're not really, well, you couldn't call it because Constantine is not really a Christian. He's just doing it just for the, politics. Right? He tried to unite the church together.
He tried to unite the kingdom, not the church.
Okay, yeah. But he used the church as format.
Yeah, and
right?
later on, everyone do the same thing. They found out that only the church can do the job that the army and the navy and the soldier cannot do.
Is that why the emperor and the church go hand in hand together?
Oh, yes. They share the power, they share all the resources, they share all the riches. You go to Europe today, you see all the big cathedral, beautiful, made with all the money that the army, the empire sack from everywhere. They go and steal money from everywhere to build all the beautiful cathedral. Even today, after 1,000 years, it still stands with all the gold, silver. I went to see some cathedral and amazed.
I gotta praise them for the. Yeah.
It takes
their
several
art.
hundred years to build those things, several hundred years. And in those days, it's billions of dollars.
Yep.
You cannot do it again. Unbelievable.
Yes, praise the hand that the building still stands, right? For over 100 some years.
Oh, some of them 1,000 years. You believe that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, John, when was the Christians' birth? Like in Martin Luther time, it's 1517. In that time, we become a Christian after the Roman.
Well, Martin Luther will come, we call Reformation, mean that bring the church back to the original teaching. So in the 16th century, the church go back to original teaching. So you see 1,000 years, the church corrupt and don't teach the real truth.
I know how to do that.
I still have questions about the form to fill in. So do I fill up the box that says, please provide all of the following information. I will complete all my certificate requirements at the end of either fall, spring, or summer. Which one do I put?